All right, rundown. Halloween. It's Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. Dan, you got a very apple picking fall shirt on there.
Yeah, I
So
bought a couple flannels. I'm trying. I realized I've just been dressing like a slob for about 4 or 5 years now, so it's gonna suck trying to transition myself back into a spot where if I put on a shirt with a collar, people aren't like, "Whoa, who died?"
yeah.
But the transition has begun.
Okay, good. Brought to you by High Noon Sunsets. We got the tailgate pack. They obviously got the pear, the cranberry. I'm a pear guy. People like cranberry too. Head over to your local liquor store. Get some today. Real vodka, real juice, real fans just like us. High Noon, the perfect drink for sitting by a pool at a college. But this is the perfect drink. How about that? Perfect drink. Okay, NFL recap. I don't know where to start. New York teams both lose. Jets lose. I'd say the Jets were one of the more probably depressing losses for the week if you're a Jet fan, because it looked like maybe you had the Patriots on the ropes. You have the pick six called back on what I thought was a good call on the roughing the passer. I don't know what you guys thought about that call. I thought that was the right call. He kind of launched himself after the play. Other things that we can talk about, I just wrote back down, and then you guys can go wherever you want. Jameis, obviously. We'll have to put that video in with the pregame rap, which was just electric, really.
And she, JJ, doing everything, we gonna have it our way. No Burger King, I'm talking about team. New Orleans Saints, you know what I mean. We gotta represent the city up in here. We're doing everything, and I might shed a tear.
Yeah, I mean James is.
Oh, I lost him. Why do I keep losing people? Is it this cord?
Wait, can you see me, Big Ev?
What is going on?
Mine is
You're
like
back.
it flips back and forth to who's talking.
Oh, all right. So yeah, I was gonna say Jameis is the most electric backup in the league. He should be the starter. I was joking. I don't know. I gotta find the clip. He was on a podcast talking about eating the dub.
Yeah.
And he stands by that.
Well, yeah, he's got a little Russell Wilson in him.
But
in a
funny way.
Okay, so let me ask you this. And Russell Wilson has me a torture chamber. I'm going to be totally honest. Like the high knees on the plane and the videos.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Are we just sticking by? It's almost like the J.J. Watt era. Is he's not in on it at all? Because I'm not convinced of that.
Dave, I don't think he's in on it at all. And here's the number one point in my favor. When he did the Let's Ride and everyone clowned him, there was a moment where I was like, wait, so he's embracing this, so I think it's funny. But now you can tell he says it and he doesn't, he is from the outside is like, I know that everyone says let's ride, but I don't really understand that everyone's making fun of me for it. Because he now says it at press conferences in losses, he'll say it.
See, here's my issue.
In losses, Dave. Losses.
Yeah. He doesn't even seem to care if they win or lose.
Right.
He's just as long as
God's plan.
God is there. Right. Here's my thing. Sierra, his wife, who dated Future.
Sensational.
No human can go from Future to that, I don't think, unless there's some degree of we're trolling. Do you see when they picked out his suits and stuff?
Yep.
I just don't know. I think he may be in. I can't believe he's not in on it at all. So Sierra's married to this guy?
I think Sierra's kind of like that now, too.
I don't know.
I feel like they're both just born again. That's what I was going to say. The difference between Jameis and Wilson for me is that I think Jameis knows he's a goofball.
Oh, I don't know that. I
I
don't think Jameis is in on. You think when Jameis showed up in full pads?
Yeah, that was. That
was a little bit. He was young. You got me there. He was young though. I think I think he could look back at eating the W and realize hey, that was he had a moment there.
I'll say this. I think Jameis is well. I think Jameis is well liked. I think everyone hates Russell. The Seahawks took a shot at him after the game, being like, "It's nice to go through." But I don't know that Jameis is. It's almost weird when we're going on like Bryson DeChambeau, when he got attacked by the rope. It took him, when he went under the rope.
Yeah, it took him 2 weeks.
Right. Now, if you're self-aware, that's instant you're making. He had a team of people. He's definitely not in on it.
No. Okay, so I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I would say Jameis is probably not in on all of his stuff. There's just something about Jameis where I think I think if you told Jameis after he does something goofy, you're like, dude, that was kind of goofy. He'd be like, yeah, that was kind of goofy. Whereas if you told Russell, he'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, that wasn't.
Agreed.
I'm lost on it. And Russell Wilson's. He may be the most delusional athlete we've ever seen. Like
Ever.
you've had JJ on because he wasn't in on it at the beginning, being like
He came around.
Like
yeah.
what was there, a tornado or a storm? He's like, I am trudging through like underwater flood to go get my reps. He was not in on that when
Correct.
he did that.
Yeah, correct. JJ Watt, at the beginning of his career, he kind of had this feeling that he was like a superhero, and he, to his credit, has like realized like every now and then because I think the problem with I actually, all three of them, I think they have good intentions. Like, I don't think they're bad people. Like, J.J. Watt, I know is not a bad person. I know him personally. He's a very, very good person. So his intentions are always correct. It just comes off as corny sometimes. He's realized that, like, he can just be a really good person and be normal, and it's worked a lot better for him. Russell Wilson, I don't think has bad intentions. I just think he's, like, there's never been a trade that has happened where at the beginning you're like, why would Seattle trade Russell? To now we're 8 weeks into the season, the Seahawks are in first place, and you're like, the Seahawks are completely vindicated. Like, they probably are like, you see Tyler Lockett be like, it's fun to win when there's not one person trying to take all the credit. Like, they are a good football team, and they're like, told you he was crazy. He's crazy.
Again, if we're going with that everything, he is not in on it, like not even 1%. He's one of the craziest people we've ever encountered.
Ever. Dave, I have I have two questions. One's for Big Ev. Big Ev, I proposed the on PMT today. I said Giants fans are now, I think, there's two doors you can walk through. One is that was a crazy like stretch they had. They went to London, they beat the Packers, come back, they come home, they win an emotional game against the Ravens, come back. They had to fly down to Jacksonville, win a game last second. They had to fly all the way across the country right before the bye week. That's just a flat spot that's just a flat spot for them. That's door one. Door two is this team's not that talented, and they've been getting by on a lot of lucky bounces, and the lucky bounces might be running out.
I mean, obviously, I'd like to go through door one. I mean, I don't know if it's lucky bounce as much as just I think just seeing the team, like the personnel is not that different from what it was last year.
Right.
I think seeing the team, the coaching obviously has been massive. Like you're seeing just those small differences that make a big difference in the final score. The Seattle, it was one of those where like you knew you were due. Like we won all these one-score games, come down from double digits like 3 or 4 times. You can't do that. Honestly, I don't know if either you watched the full game.
I did.
I mean, we could have lost that game by 30. I mean, that was like Lockett dropped an easy one. That was a touchdown. Like the defense plays their ass off. I just think like
it's not that talented.
At times, like
from an outsider,
the offense has besides Saquon has no talent.
From an outsider NFL perspective, there's very few elite teams. The Giants aren't in that category, and there's a lot of mediocre where, depending on who gets a break or what happens, anybody can beat anybody on a Sunday. But they're like, are they Super Bowl threat? No, they have no chance to win the Super Bowl. None, zero.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. It's more like I think they'll still make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're a fringe playoff team.
Right,
yeah,
right. It just I like Brian Dable. I believe in him. It's just more like that was the first time I watched the Giants. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot their roster is like very depleted of top end talent.
What was our second question?
Second question for you, Dave. I want your honest opinion. If you had to redraft the 2021 first round quarterbacks right now, what would you take?
Who's in that draft again? Mac?
Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and
Zach Wilson.
And Zach Wilson. Hey, frozen? He's fake frozen. He's fake frozen. He's
right now, I think there's only one guy.
He's doing my move. He's doing my move to me.
What happened? All right, moving on. Did you see?
Listen, I just want to say this because I've had some people coming back at me because it's the rare thing when your team is bad, but the quarterback is all that matters. Like the Bears got gashed yesterday, lost by 20 points, and I walked away happy because Justin Fields has made huge steps in the last month. And I'm not saying I think he's a superstar in the making. The Bears can absolutely screw it up because that's what the Bears do. Like, they don't put the right things around him, he will fail. But what I've seen the last month from him, I think he's playing the best ball out of all those guys.
Listen, I was not a believer of him in college. There's a lot to be told. I will just say on my fantasy team, I had Mac to start the season. He's not on the roster, and I picked up Fields as a free agent last week. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay, so fantasy. That's fantasy.
It's fantasy land.
And by the way, Dave, that's also when you say the Jets might have had the worst loss. I think the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence looking that bad.
Yeah, I wasn't as. Yes, but like the Jags, I guess why I said the Jets. The Jets, Patriots, like that we've beaten them a bunch. It's like this is when they should beat the Patriots, get over the hump. Jags, Broncos, I'm not, that was a game the Jets should win, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Other highlights, what?
No, I was going to say, obviously it's early on him. Is he like one of the first guys that was like a can't miss that like might just be like a total flop?
Who?
Yeah, he also
like Lawrence. He was
no,
up there.
There's always those guys.
They were putting him with like the Peyton Mannings and like the Elways and like these guys.
But they do that.
No brainer, can't miss.
They say that almost every Jamarcus Russell. Like if you're a number one pick, what Jeff George? I mean, there's a laundry line.
I just felt like they really he was really put on that
I didn't.
Big time pedestal.
I didn't because you lost money in the national championship game. And I should say in defense of Trevor Lawrence, it's similar to the Bears with Justin Fields. There's a chance Trevor Lawrence could be good, and the Jaguars just suck as a franchise. Like that. Same with Zach Wilson. Where you get drafted matters.
Zach made some terrible throws.
He looked so bad, Dave.
Terrible throws.
Did you hear Billy? Here, one last thing. Did you hear? You'll enjoy this. Hank was just laughing his ass off.
I saw those clips.
Billy's a Jets fan, and he was like, Zach Wilson had the most yards against the Bill Belichick Patriots team for a Jets quarterback. And Jake just started clapping about it, and it was so – because, that is the most loser stat of all time.
A couple other things to just draw our attention to in the NFL. Eddie Pinheiro, who missed 2 game-winning field goals, fine. Feel bad for a kicker. You can't be doing a selfie session on the field before that if you're going to miss that. That game was crazy. Dan, you had the Panthers, right?
Panthers. I had Panthers plus 4.5, so I still covered, but
that was almost a tragic loss, then turned into a miracle cover.
It was, there's nothing worse than the going for it on 4th and long on
the
your
worst.
own 10-yard line.
I saw that. Yep, I saw that.
Doesn't work out here.
And they gained 5 on the first play, so it looked like maybe they get the first down, which salvaged it. Jerry Jones, I don't know what I think about Jerry. So Pollard has a monster game. And Jerry Jones goes right to the media, be like, nope, Zeke's our guy. It's like, he's the owner of the team. And I get it. I like Jerry. He's like, it's his toy. But why would you say, whatever. I just find that he's the owner. And it's literally 1 second after this guy had 19 touchdowns, 7,000 yards. Everybody with eyeballs can see he's more explosive. And by the way, Zeke's looks like he has more jump. But just saying, nope, Zeke's the starter. It's just such Jerry Jones.
I think it's solely because of the money. He gave Zeke so much money. Tony Pollard has still not gotten his contract yet. I think he's probably made $1.5 million in the 4 years he's been in the NFL. He's going to get his big contract. So I think he just has to keep saying it because you don't want to be the guy who picked the wrong guy.
Yeah, he's somebody who doesn't seem like he really cares about money, though. Honestly, he just wants to win. Last one, Jared Allen riding the horse for the
badass.
Totally badass. And I will say, back on the Cowboys, Dak for the first time looked good. That team can get pretty scary pretty fast if they start getting it going on offense.
Yes, I'd agree so. I mean, the Bears were so bad defensively. It was horrendous.
College, obviously, the big news. And I've looked at the tapes. I've looked at everything. And I've gone what I feel like is a pretty fair take. I'm putting my Michigan rose glasses off. The brawl in the locker room. I'll tell you how I started. It at first, all right, you see it, it's like, this is crazy. And everyone's like, oh, they got this tiny tunnel. Listen, like I was watching the Bills and the Packers, there's one tunnel. If you got the one tunnel, fine. There still is not, I mean, we've had one tunnel for 100 years. All of a sudden, these fights are popping up. And I saw it like, this is terrible. Guys getting jumped. What's going on? You can't really see it's pushing, scuffling. That first video that came out. And I kind of blew it off. It's like this typical Michigan State. And Harbaugh and Ward Emanuel are calling for charges, this, that, the other thing. The second video of them going into the locker room, they're yelling at each other. We're waving goodbye to them. It's a heated rivalry. And there's one guy in the middle, number 22, who didn't dress, in the middle of all the Michigan State guys. And then number 1, I think McBarrows or something, comes. He's kind of doing the skip to my Lou right into the middle of Michigan State. So my take was like, listen, it doesn't condone what happened, but like, what's that guy doing? Like, there's no way he's going in there to just mind his own business. Some people are like, oh, you need treatment. What? Yeah, right, you need treatment. He was going in to talk shit. He had to be. So that was my take. Like, doesn't condone it. Stop with the charges. Stop with everything. Figure it out next year in East Lansing. A third video comes out. A Michigan State guy has his helmet like Myles Garrett whacking a guy. And I'm like, well, that's so far over the line. That guy's going to be suspended for the year, kicked off, and nobody on Michigan State's doing a thing. Like, if you see that, I don't care who it is, you got to break it up. Harbaugh today, I think maybe a couple hours ago, said they have very clear footage from like an ABC cameras that nobody's seen that show exactly what happens from beginning to end in suspensions, apologies. Michigan State has issued like, this is below us. We're suspending 4 guys. Mel Tucker, he said, hasn't reached out. But Harbaugh's saying the video is so over the top that criminal charges have to happen. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see it. But he's like, we have footage that this isn't, we don't accept the suspensions. We don't accept anything except criminal charges. And the Michigan players have hired lawyers to press charges as well. So who knows what this footage they have, but that's where we're at with it.
Whoa. From the only take I really feel strongly about is Michigan State. Like, you can't get your teeth kicked in physically for 60 minutes and then act like the tough guy after. That's just a lame move. Like, you had 60 minutes to physically fight them on the field. You failed. Don't then start fighting someone off the field with your helmet off.
I agree. The only thing I'll say, and again, this is me giving a little at one point doubt, it's like if that number 1 and the way he was skipping in just looked like he had it's like he knew what he was doing. And if you just lost a rivalry game, it's over and you're depressed, and there's just a guy in your face like talking, doesn't give you an excuse, but it's like kind of like, well, what's that guy doing? Like, what do you expect to happen almost in that situation? Again, Harbaugh is saying he has footage that, in fact, I think what he said is the guy from the first video, number 1, who's getting the scuffle, that he only got involved trying to break up the other guy getting jumped. So who knows? But we'll see what happens on that. You probably think you can stab somebody and do whatever you want and be fine with it.
We talk about it big sections. I mean, obviously, Michigan State obviously is to blame. I mean, obviously not the smartest move to go antagonize them, but I mean, you're not expecting to get jumped. I mean, by half the team. I mean, the skip to my Lou mixed with Harbaugh's comments make me. I mean, someone must have got sucker punched or
sounds bad,
like punched in the back of the head, or
I mean, the helmet off.
Helmet off is a game changer. That video, I will say, Michigan. Franklin complained about it. It's been a topic. It is an easy thing to solve. Just fucking put the security there and wait till one team's gone and the other one, which we got to talk about quick. Unless you guys have other college football takes as we get ready for the game of the year, Georgia, Tennessee, the Stanford tree. They come up once every couple of years, and I love it, but the Stanford tree once again suspended. They brought a sign that said Stanford hates fun. And they always seemingly, like the Stanford band, which always is, they prove their point. Like, you suspended the band for bringing out Stanford hates fun. I love the Stanford tree. It's the best thing Stanford has. So shout out Stanford tree.
I was going to say, so you guys both didn't cover. There's a lot of shit talk on Saturday. We watched the Ohio State Penn State game with Ev. We were separate for the Michigan State. Where are the two of you right now?
I think it's going to be a very good game.
So,
I mean, Michigan started slow, but they turned very dominant. They settled for a lot of field goals, obviously.
Yeah.
You can't do that, but they dominated the end of that game.
what do you think, Ev?
I mean, I would say Ohio State kind of did a little bit of the same.
Yeah.
I mean, we dominated the fourth quarter. That was kind of how we took over at the end. We listen. We obviously let up more. We let up some big plays in the first half. He has the one where he kind of does the little spin around when we missed the tackle. And he just breaks it for 60. No, but I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it's going to be a war. It's going to be. I mean,
I think anybody who's like Ohio State's going to roll over them is not paying attention.
No, I'm just nervous, Dave. I texted you this late Saturday night. I'm a little nervous about your quarterback, just in that, like, if you're down 14 in the fourth quarter, can you come back?
Yeah, see, I think they can. I think they're playing very conservative, and because you can't do what they did versus Michigan State, which is keep on kicking field goals. That won't win.
No.
But I think maybe I'm hoping, be a little more creative with the play calling. Like, that was never in jeopardy versus Michigan State.
No, that's true.
And they'll throw everything at them. Time will tell. Moving along, hopefully you guys have seen it. I laughed out loud. I watched it 1,000 times. Sticking with fights, this hockey fight in the stands where you have one guy who pulls the other dude over, and he's a fighter. Like, just throwing haymakers at this guy's face. His buddy who's getting beaten up. You can't have two people throwing more opposite punches. He's just hitting him with little like his buddy's face is caved in. He's just getting feathered to death. It is a hilarious visual.
Yeah, it was like the CompuBox has him landing like 100 punches, but none of them power.
No power shots.
It also
no significant strikes.
Yeah, it's a great lesson too. We've always broken down these fights. You know, having higher ground is a huge advantage, which the guy who got beat up had higher ground. But more than higher ground, the biggest advantage in any of these fights is the guy who's willing to like make the first move. Because if you make the first move, because a lot of times these fights are guys just jawing and no one's doing anything because no one wants to get arrested or anything. They're like, oh, you do it. But if you're like, fuck it, I'm doing it, and you do it quick enough, you can win basically any fight. Also,
I've said this many times, I've never fought. I'm a pussy. I'd get my ass kicked if I fought. So I'm trying to think, and those two guys were pussies. Like the guy who got beat up and the guy who was throwing feather punches. When I say pussies, they're not fighters. So let's put it that way. The guy the fighter, knows he's a fighter, took the guy's hat and just threw it like 30 rows. So that's a guy like, let's fight, like, let's go. And then he grabbed him. I don't know what you do if you're that guy who's not like me. If someone emasculates you like that, what do? You're just kind of stuck. It's like, well, this guy's going to kill me, but I guess it's like that feather guy's like, well, I guess I got to throw punches. He just, like, that guy's never been in a fight, feather man. Never.
Yeah. No.
Well, the hat move was really finding out, like, how, like, what kind of pride do you have? Where are you at?
Because if you're a fighter and someone throws your hat, you're a punt, right? And if you don't, you're not.
That's why I think he knew the second he didn't react to the hat throw, he was like, oh, this guy's a ragdoll.
Yeah. This was kind of funny. Not funny because the whole thing's fucked up, but Kanye's creating his dream team of misfits, basically. Like, he's putting, like, my real guys list. And he put Stephen A. on there. And the imagery of Stephen, because if you listen to Stephen A., he's pretty spoken out. And like, he had Kyrie on there, and he fucking hates Kyrie. He's trashed Kyrie. And I'm just trying to picture Stephen's reaction, like that's the worst thing to be dragged into when you have nothing to do. And Stephen A. tweeted earlier basically condemning Kanye, being like, we don't stand for hate speech. So imagine that, and then you just get your mugshot put on like you're on his team.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Hilarious.
That and the Kyrie stuff. Kyrie is just, man, he sucks. I don't know if you saw any of that, Dave.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's the worst.
The people who are revealing themselves as the worst have revealed themselves as the worst quite a while ago. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like, it's not a surprise. Like, that, it's weird because, like, nothing these people are saying surprises me. It's like, oh, well, yeah, Kyrie's the fucking worst. The only thing I'll say, and this is not defending Kanye whatsoever, but he
is saying fucked up shit and at least like not backing down, which again, he shouldn't say that shit. It's fucked up. Kyrie is doing the opposite where he's like posting stuff and then being like, well, I'm just a basketball player. Like, I love everyone. That's like a double for me where it's like, dude, at least stand behind what you're fucking saying. That
was one of the original Kyrie things that drove me nuts when he was on the Celtics and he was talking to Durant. I think it was at an All-Star game about leaving and saying he was talking about leaving with Durant. And then people asked him about it. He's like, why are you asking me about it? It's like, because you fucking brought it up, you piece of shit.
Right. That drives me insane. Like, if you're going to be a bigot, just stand behind it.
And also, I hate to admit it because I'm Jewish, so I'm not a big fan of people who hate Jews. But I don't know if you saw the clip that Kanye had. It was like, I went to the doctor. I'm not going to say what race he was, but the doctor said this. Then at the end, he's like, he's Jewish. It was fucking funny. Even if he was being an anti-Semitic piece of shit. This red hat, I don't know why. I saw the clip. Like you said, it's like he's a piece of shit. I still get people like, why you hate Kanye? And I list out. I'm like, outside of the fact he's openly hates Jews, of which I am one, it's the Taylor Swift stuff. Like, I've hated him for a long-ass time. What?
No, I mean, he just has especially guys like my age, he just has a cult.
Yeah,
like
you're right.
The true Yeezy fans, they are literally, he could shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square and people would be like, oh, Kanye.
And to be honest, I've said about, like, I think I'm a good guy, but, like, I could do shit and say, no, I didn't do that. And my cult, like, the people of the diehard will be like, no, he's right. But it clouds who's doing the truth. And social media is an echo chamber. This Ross Chastain, Ross the Rocket NASCAR move, which I don't think anybody ever seen before. So I kept refreshing it, and if you haven't seen the clip, he has to come in basically second to advance for the championship. Denny Hamlin looks like he's got a clear second. He comes around the boards, basically, edge, going 1,000,000 miles per hour, nobody in his way, and just nips Denny at the wire to go. Amazing move. I kept retweeting to see if Denny Hamlin would say anything about this. I haven't seen him, and you know he's pissed because if you can hear Denny Hamlin, and at the very end, the guy on his radio was like, to your right. Like, Denny Hamlin thought it was done, and it just wasn't. Amazing, crazy stuff.
Insane. It was like a move from the Cars movies.
I still don't understand. So is it because of the wall, or is it just there was nobody in front of him?
No, because he went so hard in the wall he could then floor it and not have to brake because he can't, like, he's basically driving into the wall while also going forward. So it's not like,
and there was nobody in front. Like, it all cleared for him. Like, you have to brake and it's just insane.
Have you guys seen the angle from the stands? We actually put when you sent the topic, Spider was showing me that literally as you sent it. I mean, he must be going 300 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know if Denny has said anything.
I'm looking right now.
Because you know him. He's the most intense guy in the world. He must be beside himself.
I think Spider said he didn't say anything, like, he wasn't mad at the guy. Like, it was like fair and square.
No, he'd be mad at himself.
Yes, but it was so Spider told me this, that apparently now this might be like a tuck roll situation. Like, they might change the rules of this, that this can't happen again.
Oh, that should be allowed to happen. But the thing is, if Denny's radio man gave him a time, be like, on the right, all Denny has to do is go right, and he wins.
Yeah.
Like that, it's the fault of the people in his, and you see it all the time in horse racing. They don't have it, but if you don't know somebody's coming, the jockey kind of lets up and somebody clips you. Crazy video. I did not watch this, so I can't speak much to it, but the Jake Paul fight was this weekend. Did either of you guys watch that?
I got to see highlights. It was kind of what I expected. Jake Paul is kind of this weird, like, Anderson Silva was in, like, for the MMA people, like, he in his prime was like the best striker, like, ever. Phenomenal, like, Mount Rushmore type guy in the sport.
He's 47 now. And Jay, you could bet this on our app, by the way. And Jake Paul was a minus 250, so he was expected to win. The fight looked okay. I saw some positive comments about it. I don't know in terms of, it wasn't as big on social media as I thought when they announced the fight. I don't know if that was just in my bubble, but that's how I felt about it.
I think football obviously had a lot to do with it. A big football Saturday like that. I mean, he's kind of caught himself in this weird spot where now, like, he's kind of like, he doesn't want to just fight a normal boxer because it's not going to bring any eyes and no one cares about the other guy. And I guess a little bit to his defense, he has tried twice and both the guys backed out. And then now the only guys kind of available to fight that can like half sell the pay-per-view are these guys. Like it seems like Nate Diaz.
That would be huge.
Diaz is a bigger draw than he is. Like Nate Diaz is a massive star. So I mean, that fight would probably sell a lot. I mean, Jake would probably win. I mean, he's just like he's a decent boxer.
He's a good boxer, and they do a great job of picking their opponents. Like Dana White said, he'd never fight Anderson Silva. He did.
The Bears just traded Roquan Smith to the Ravens.
Oh, that's a good deal for the Ravens. They needed that.
I know. It's a bummer for the Bears, but it also is like they were this summer. He basically held out and was like, "They're mistreating me." And
he made a big stink.
Right. It's like you're probably never going to re-sign that guy if it falls apart like that. So I guess it's good that they got something for him, but that fucking sucks. Because it's also like, it's like everyone's like, oh, well, picks get young. It's like Roquan Smith is young.
Right.
Like I understand trading a 32-year-old guy in Robert Quinn. Fuck. All right. Sorry. That's why I was distracted.
No. Did you watch the Jake Paul fight?
I did not. I did not.
Where did you think it was big on social media?
I did not.
Yeah, no, not as big as I was expecting.
I also just think it's very hard to do. I think we've done a rough and rowdy in October. It's so hard to compete
with
in
football.
October. It's just football and baseball. Baseball was on too. Like it's very, very crowded sports month to be able to fit something in that's like not normal.
Yep. Post show, unless you guys get anything else, just quick. My dad did. I haven't seen my dad retired, I believe, from Twitter.
Did he deactivate?
I don't think he's deactivated.
Well, he's got to deactivate if he's going to.
I said he'd be back, and this was on Elon. He said he knows what's going to happen. I'm not 100% sure what that means exactly. And Elon, I don't know how he has time to run Tesla. He's the biggest tweeter in the history of the world. And then obviously the Nadeau prank, which was hilarious and just an all-time kind of Barstool storyline when he got thrown into that. And that's all I got. That's all I got for today. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, I think trying to think what else is. It was a good weekend. Shout out our behind. Like I got home on Saturday night, late Saturday night, and I was like, it is pretty insane to think about how far we've come. I don't like to do those sappy moments very often. But the fact that we pulled off 2 shows to that production level, and we were laughing at when we were at Penn State because like. I think Brandon said something like, oh, the crowd's like slow getting in here because it's 10 a.m. Yeah. And Dave and I were like, we literally we dressed in Dumb and Dumber costumes and had to walk into a Florida State frat to get guys out of bed to stand behind us.
And it wasn't a small crowd. It was like a great crowd at 10 a.m. Yeah. I will say I got set up because is confession time. I think East Lansing is a cool spot and like I like going there. The students are great. They're kind of like a Barstool gritty vibe to them. So after we kicked the shit out of them, I did tweet that, be like, confession, I'm a huge fan of Michigan State. I met the students, and then that fight happened after, and it's like it really put me in a box, so shame on them. That's it. That's it. We got World Series on Monday Night Football tonight.
All right.
See you guys.
I got to deal with this Roquan Smith trade. Fuck.
All right. See ya.
See ya.